Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the last episode of Blogchatter Writing Festival. It is fitting that we finish with the same person who we began the festival with, which is Dipankar. He is the publisher and the founder behind one of India's fastest growing publishing houses, which is Readomania. Over the last 3 years, the house has published more than 50 authors in around 40 books. Many of these authors have also been personally mentored by him. Tonight, he'll be discussing with us something that is crucial for all aspiring writers, the publishing industry, of course, and what Readomania has to offer all the aspiring authors. Hi, Dipankar, and welcome to our last episode.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you and being in this festival. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody. I have a very, very bad voice and I'm trying to speak as loudly as I can so that you all can hear me. So please bear with me on this one. Okay, I've had at least 10 glasses of hot water and some bit of coffee to keep myself going today. So yeah, thank you for having me over. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for making it, even though you are so sick. We can hear that in the voice.
Yeah, as Richa says, make it as real as possible. So yeah, it is as real as it could be.
Okay, before I begin my questions, I want to tell everyone that Dipankar is all ready to answer all your questions. As he has been saying on Twitter, he is going to be brutally honest with all of us. So let's bombard him with questions. You can keep putting them below, and once we are done with our questions, we will take viewer questions. Okay, so with that, first question for you is you said you started Readomania because of your love for books and reading. So, what
hmm
was your vision when you began your publishing house?
My God, vision is such a heavy word. Vision sounds like I'm almost about to change world and bring in world peace. That's not the case though. So I have an interesting anecdote around that. Most of us have seen the movie When Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah,
So in that movie, there is a scene where Anna is asked to get unpublished version of a manuscript, Harry Potter.
yeah,
And that made me curious with what the hell is an unpublished manuscript. Went and did some
okay,
research and I realized that, oh my God, there's something special. There's something which is unpublished and which is very exclusive, very few people get to see it. And that's where probably a thought came to my mind that, what would be life of a publisher like? And then obviously I used to read a lot. I do write a bit as well, all of it mixed up. And being a consultant myself all my life, I realized there is some business opportunity around. Put together all of it, we came up with this concept. And the basic idea that we started off with was we wanted to create books that were meaningful and that were enriching lives. One basic premise that we had, and that's for all our readers and authors to share, is that as a world, we're moving towards a very chaotic situation. There's a lot of
yeah,
chaos, fight, insensitivity, impatience, all of it. And a root cause of that is, I mean, I would say there are multiple root causes, but one of the reasons for that is that our concentration is going from bad to worse. And I genuinely feel
that's an
that with read
interesting
mode, there
point to
is
have.
a way to, yes, there's a way to increase concentration, plus find interesting thoughts, make them more positive, and try and create a better world around us. So yes, so in all of it together, that's what for you. So let the readers and the audience here find out what the vision is. So in short, we call ourselves crafting books, enriching lives. That's what we do.
I liked what you said about concentration creating intolerance. That is amazing.
It does actually. Try thinking about it. When you read books,
Yeah,
you are just not doing anything else and you're focusing on it. Sometimes when you're reading a thriller, you're thinking ahead of the author. Then sometimes you're reading a romantic
yeah,
book, you are in your mind reliving your own days. You're reading historical fiction, you're curious to know about that world. So it always is keeping you focused on something. That builds
yeah.
concentration.
That's true. Like this reminded me of something that happened. I think with somebody said something in an interview about IIMs and the CAT exam, and she was
Mhm.
misquoted because of concentration, I suppose. And there was this big, huge hue and cry over that.
Oh yeah,
happen
yeah.
some
So
years
that's the
ago.
forte of everybody around, misquoting people, not taking a minute to understand what it is. In my
Yeah.
MBA days, I used to ask too many questions to my professors, and they had one single point for me. They would say, "Dipankar, cool down, think for 30 seconds before you ask the question." So there onwards, I
Ah,
learned that method of concentrating, figuring out, am I asking the right questions, and then putting it forward.
yeah. So, next question is with the advent of digital media and ebooks, etc., how has the publishing industry changed in the last couple of years?
Is that a veiled question to ask? Are physical books better than ebooks? Is that what you wanted to
No,
know?
not at all,
Honestly,
not at all. Because that
no?
is a
Great.
debate I don't really like because I think both have merit. I love reading
Okay.
paperback and ebooks. So that is not the debate
Absolutely.
that I want to have right
So let me put it this way.
now.
Content is
Right,
something that is irrespective of where it goes, right? A story, a novel is content, and each of the other formats are platforms. So a physical book is a platform, an ebook is a platform, a mobile book is a platform, a video made out of that book is a platform, a movie made out of the book is a platform. All
right,
these are ways and means to put the content out there for the consumer of that content. Okay,
right. Yeah,
so ebooks has added on to the market, not taken away from it. Okay,
yeah.
when we
Right.
say that the physical books is diminishing as a market, it's not because of ebooks coming in. Number one.
Oh.
Number two,
Mhm.
there isn't enough information to say that physical books are going down. As a matter of fact, I would say the number of titles published in India is actually going up. Okay?
Mhm.
There are multiple other evils that are present inside the industry which is causing issues which lead to the downfall, which includes things like rampant, uncontrolled launch of books. Okay, I will
Oh.
explain that in detail later. Then the crooked way of distribution that happens right now. Okay.
Mhm.
Second, there isn't the entire industry is a very closed space. For all of
Yeah.
the industries, people come from outside also. In this industry, people from within the industry keep rotating. So technically, there is no
Oh.
new influx of new ideas coming in. Okay, so
Mhm.
whenever new ideas come in, they are throttled or they find very difficult to take them forward. So there are multiple
Mhm.
things happening around in the industry which makes it a not so great place. But otherwise, as a whole, the market is growing. As a whole, people are reading more. It's wrong to say people are not reading. People are not
Right.
reading the right thing probably, but then right is again subjective. Right for you and right for me is
Exactly.
different.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so
Exactly.
overall it's growing, okay? And ebooks are only adding on to it, not taking away from it.
That's a very, again, a very interesting point that they are adding because I guess when you see it as a platform, you can see that both can exist side by side. They don't have
Absolutely.
to exist.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
a reader of ebook will also prefer a physical book, and a reader of physical book will also prefer an ebook. Depends on when and where you are. Okay, it's the
Right.
convenience of an ebook always is a benefit for somebody who cannot carry physical books. As simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. So Sutapa was with us a few weeks ago, and she said that the reason ebooks are not considered mainstream publishing is the poor editing, which leads to poor content for the readers. So, how is Readomania changing this?
I'm not too sure whether you're quoting her correctly or not in this
Hmm.
particular context because it's not about ebooks. It is about
Hmm.
any content that has not gone through a third party, which
Okay.
means that if I am generating my own content, there has to be a person beyond me who looks at the content. Because I
Right.
am, and I will always be biased to my own writing, to my own content, right?
Right.
So I cannot be unbiased and look at the goods and bads of that particular content.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
whenever you have a third party coming from outside and looking at the content and giving an advice to the author saying that, hey, look, A, B, C, D needs to be improved, you get good content. Whenever that doesn't happen, chances are there will be things like logical loopholes in the plotting of the story,
Hmm.
characters not being developed properly, or grammatical errors cropping up, or writing being suboptimal. So that is what leads to a poor quality of work being put out there, which leads to bad reader experience. Consider
Right.
this. By the way, I'm not against self-publishing. I'm not against any self-published author, but there is a genuine problem. The problem is that traditionally, or what is the role of a publishing house? A publishing house is meant to be a gatekeeper, which is to shorten the choices that a reader has to make. So, for example, if there are 100 writers out there, a publishing house is taking those 100, out of that, taking the 15 most probable ones, and then giving those 15 as a choice to the reader, which
Hmm.
slightly makes the reader's life easy. If I
Yeah.
take the publishing house away, then the reader has to select from 100 odd things, which
Yeah.
though is an independent choice and is a better choice, but life becomes slightly more difficult for the reader. Okay,
Right.
good or
Yeah.
bad, I don't know, but that
Hmm.
is also leading to a bit of tiredness amongst the reader of how do I know that I want to read. That is
Hmm.
where the problem lies, not elsewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then I guess it again comes to how seriously you take your work, or how seriously you take the whole journey of publishing. Even when you're self-publishing, you can make that extra effort of getting it read from two, three people, getting it professionally edited. But
Absolutely, absolutely. There are some brilliant self-published authors around us, and you absolutely love their work. Even though I may not agree with the kind of work they're doing, but they're doing phenomenal work around them. So if you look around, you
yeah,
will see, they really are earning a lot of money. They're putting out decent content out there. So it's absolutely good, provided you follow a particular process.
yeah, true. So where do you see the future of the publishing industry in general and ebooks in particular?
So publishing industry will only grow. There is no reason
Hmm.
for it not to grow because let's take another perspective. For us or for anybody around, books fall in the category of entertainment, right?
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
as we go forward, the competition in that particular time, let's say in a day, any average person has 1 hour of entertainment time. Okay, so the competition for that is increasing day by day. So there is
Yeah.
TV, there is
Hmm.
video, there is mobile, blah 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 things coming. But each one of them have a peak and they start falling. Okay, we've seen that
Hmm.
with TV. TV is now on a downfall. We're now seeing
Hmm.
it with kind of sponsored content and kind of curated content through Amazon Prime and Netflix. That is
Hmm.
going up now.
Yeah.
Similarly, books have gone up and have come down. They will again follow a cycle of going up and coming down. They will never go out of fashion, but
Hmm.
they may follow a particular industry cycle which every other industry follows. That's on
Right.
the physical books industry. Second is there are cases and there are chances that the kind of content that we see goes through a sea change.
Hmm.
In the last 10, 15 years or so, we have seen, just give me a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the last 10, 15 years, we've seen a kind of phase in which a lot of romance books came in,
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
young content came in,
Yeah.
which, uh, were not particularly always something that the elder as readers to more content, get more people on board. So that's good. But that has also made India a country of writers. We have more writers than readers. Right? And the point is, are these writers also reading other people's work? If they are
Hmm.
not, then too bad. Then we're only
Hmm.
creating writing, and no readers.
Right.
The
Right.
whole I read more, you assimilate more. As an example, in all my workshops, also, every human being, every author is like a glass. Life fills this glass with water, which is experiences. Writing
Hmm.
empties this glass of that water, which is again experiences. As you
Hmm.
keep emptying your glass, you need to refill it to be able to
Hmm.
produce good. So whether you
Right.
refill it through your own experiences or by reading other people's work and gathering their experiences is up to you. But you
Right.
have to have a way to get more content coming into you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
You
since
have
you
a
were
bad
talking
network
about,
on your side because you're frozen for me
oh, but can you hear me?
completely.
Then that's
So I guess
fine.
that's a glitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you can hear me, then that's cool. Uh,
Good. So
so
the
the
question that you
question,
asked me, yeah,
yes.
since I take writing workshops, do I have any piece of advice for writers who are watching this tonight? Oh yes, loads of writing advice. It'll be a long, long night. But in short, three things. Number one, fall in love with your writing, but please have that much intent with you to get somebody else to give you constructive feedback and
Yeah,
see why and what is wrong with your writing, because you are always a writer. You need a reader's perspective to understand what's going wrong. Number one. Number two, think about this. There are millions and millions of people writing every day. How is your writing different? How are you going to make a change? How is your writing going to influence even one person's life? That's very important. Answer that for yourself. And finally, last point is that you can always have a plot driven story, which is usually a fast, pacey, typically thriller, or a character based story, which is usually a little more sensitive and slightly more slower or mid paced. Decision needs to be made early enough for you to figure out what do you want to write, and never ever think about what is the market. Write something that you genuinely have within you. What comes out will automatically fall in line with people who want to reach you. And yes, please build your reader base. That's very important. Loyal readers make for a big author.
yeah,
So yeah, let's open it up for questions.
sure. But before we open for questions, you were talking about something, and then you said I'll explain in detail later, but we didn't come back to it. I think you were saying something about problems with the industry, something about launch and distribution.
Something around?
The launch
Around?
and the distribution.
Yes, I do remember that I was telling you I'll come back to that later on. Let me try and remember it, what it is, because I'm right now, it's completely skipped my mind. But I'll definitely come
Okay.
back, or maybe somebody will ask me a question around that.
Okay. So we have a question from Tina.
So that's Tina asking me a question. Hi, Tina, how are you doing? How's Hyderabad? I guess Hyderabad is already very hot. We're already in the summers. She's asking me, it's so good to see you here. I have one question. How does Readomania Publications choose which manuscripts to publish? Very, very interesting, difficult question. Okay. I'll give you a straightforward answer, I'll give you a politically correct answer, and I'll give you a raw answer. All three of them. Let me first give you a straightforward answer. Every publishing house is a commercial entity. Okay?
Hmm.
So we do look for a commercial value in a manuscript before we take up the manuscript. Commercial value means, is this writing going to resonate with the reader and will we be able to market it properly? Number one. Number two, the methodical process. We look at the writing, how good or bad it is. Because if it's not so good writing, the editor needs to do a lot of work, and then the publishing house is blamed that they changed the writing. That's not my writing, that's the editor's writing. So, hence, good writing is important. Number two, how good the plot is. Does it have any loopholes? Does it logically sound correct? Is it have does it close all the loopholes in the plot, okay, and is it sounding interesting enough? Number three, characters, are they good enough, are they big enough? And finally and most importantly, is that writing going to to the reader's life? Is it inspirational? Is it eye-opening? Is it adding any information? What exactly is it doing to the reader? So all this is there, but eventually there's something else also involved. That something else is called as a gut feeling. Gut is
Yeah.
not absurd and not urban. Gut is a feeling which comes with experience of handling manuscripts. of seeing what is working in the market, and it is a very informed guess that
Hmm.
also plays a role. All of it together is what makes a script succeed, accepted, and worked on.
Excellent.
Tina, you may ask a follow-on question if that doesn't answer your question completely.
Uh, oh, this is an
So I get a question from Andrew Peterson. Hi, Andrew. How are you doing? The what book you going to launch? What genre? Okay, interesting. I'm not an author, so I'm not launching a book. We on an average launch 2 books a month. In April, we launched 2 books. The first one was When Padma Bani Paula, a very interesting book by an author who's actually a blogger as well, Anupama Jain, about how second chances in life are very important. And it's all about a journey of a woman from being what she actually is to being what the world wants her to be and realizing the flaw in that and then going back to what she actually is. The second book that we launched is a crime thriller called To Hell and Back by an author Anurag Anand, and it's based on on everyday crime situations that we see around us in the national capital and how does that impact us. The May month will see us launch 2 more books. First of which is a memoirish, not a memoir, a memoirish book on Indian Railways by an ex senior member of the railways about how that person's life went through your railways. And the second book is by Archana Sarath, and that's a book for young adults around the history of mathematics. Watch out for more. That's a very interesting children's book coming up on that. Yeah, that's so. We have more coming in questions. Varun Bhandari. I always get anxious when I sit down to write. The thought process. Really, really scared what other people would think about my writing in me. Oh, that's a very common problem. Hi Varun, how are you doing? Uh, Whenever you write, you're going to put a piece of you, your life, your emotions out there in the public. If you get scared of that, if you get scared of what other people think about you will never go anywhere. Think about this. In this entire big universe, Earth is a very small planet. In this entire big Earth, you are one small person. And around you, there are many other small people. How do their any kind of thinking, judgment, feeling should impact you or your life or your feelings? You should do what makes you happy. If writing makes you happy, so be it. If you start thinking about what people will judge you on based on your writing, then you are giving them the right to change your life, isn't it? And that's not right. So take control of your own life. Think about what you want to do, what you want to write, and just don't care about the world. If authors started caring about the world, they would never write, and we would never get something good to read. That's a lot of gyan, by the way, huh, Varun?
okay. Next question.
Richa Singh. Oh, Richa, hi, how are you doing? You haven't changed your DP for a long time. You're looking this goody goody photograph for a long time on this. You should change it now, isn't it? Get something new up there. The festival is getting over. Get something new. I'm sure you've done a lot of hard work for this festival. Anyways, your question. You mentioned that launching of new books and distribution of same in publishing industry is skewed. That is what you said. We'll detail later. Wow, you made me introduced to that topic. Yes, great, good. Why is distribution a difficult proposition? See, what happens is that distribution is monopolized in this industry. If you have to have a good market, if you have to be a good publisher, you got to be present everywhere. Okay, so for you to be present everywhere, you got to be with a good distribution house. And in India, distribution houses, without taking names, are polar. It's a bipolar world. And in that bipolar world, they start squeezing you. If you're not a good name, if you're not a, sorry, mistake, not good is the wrong word. If you're not a big name,
Mhm.
they will squeeze you left, right, and center, which leaves nothing for new publishing houses to deal with. And that's a problem. And hence, traditional publishing houses who don't take money from authors are always at a disadvantage. Whereas self publishing houses who take money from authors can use the money and push it back in marketing. Not saying that that's a good way to do it, because you eventually end up spending a lot of, you're wasting a lot of money, because all this money that gets pumped into the market is increasing the cost of service. So a book launch which used to cost around 5,000 about 5 years back now will cost you think between 25 to 30,000. What's the point? A simple book reading, a simple book signing, everything has become impossible. So practically, marketing for a book is almost becomes a super expensive proposition. There are no easy methods left for marketing. So that's the problem that we face.
Okay. Rashi has a question for us.
Hi Rashi, how are you doing? Do you think going for an ebook is a good idea for a debut author? Okay, that's a very difficult question for me to say. Depends on how you look at your career. If you are looking for a long-term career in writing and you're serious about writing, then you should wait. What typically happens is that a lot of authors who write their debut book get it published through a traditional mode, lose interest when the book doesn't do well. Okay, they lose the entire joy and the entire focus, because we have noticed that a lot of authors feel instant gratification, instant fame. That doesn't happen. Writing is a very long journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be
Yeah.
at it for a long time. That's number one. Number two, if you're looking for money, again, authors don't earn money overnight. In fact, in India, if I tell you honestly, probably beyond the top 20 authors, nobody earns money enough to sustain them. Globally, also, author
Yeah.
earnings, royalty is just a part of that. Authors earn from lectures, authors earn from endorsements, authors earn from visits. There are multiple other methods. Okay, so for having a wholesome career in your writing, you should think about it that way. But yes, ebook is a good way to take a dipstick of how does your writing respond back with your readers. Are you able to get more readers for your writing? That I would say is a good way to start and look at a dipstick.
Okay. One we have from Piyusha.
Hi Piyusha, how are you doing? Congratulations, your book just today is done really well. And that's by Readomania Shorts, I must say that. So we're very happy about it. Attention spans are shorter, as you pointed out, with such stiff competition and everyone. Ooh, she's feeling cold. Yeah. Let's make things hotter then. I'll give you some crappy answers also. With such stiff competition and everyone vying for the same pie of readership, what scope do new authors have in terms of visibility and readership? Oh, Lala. Okay. How many people does the world have? How many people? Do you think everyone is reading? They're not.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
enough and more room for people to be read. The problem is not about vying for time from a reader. The problem is how do you reach the reader? How does the reader get to know that you've launched a good book? And how does the reader get confidence that your book is something that he should or she should invest time in? That's a bigger
Yeah.
trouble. So for that, what you got to do is build a base of readers who are loyal to you, people who wait for your books to come out, people who like reading. See, a lot of us, we fall into the trap of this entire online facade. See, online is only a part of it.
Yeah.
Even today,
Yeah.
physical books through distribution are selling more than what we can promote through social media, which proves that social media is just one of the ways of reaching out. An author is actually becoming a spokesperson for themselves every day. every new person that you meet can potentially be a convert, because an author is known for the thoughts that they have, the views that they express, the kind of warmth that they exude, the kind of personality that they have. A combination of all of it. When you meet new people, when they get impressed by you in whatever way they want to be impressed with, that is when they feel nice about you and start looking for content from you. You wouldn't want to read books by people you don't like, would you? You would never, right? So that warmth and that interaction has to be there. Social media is just one of them. That's what I have to say. Ashwini Menon. Hi Ashwini, how are you doing? Does the publishing house give reasons in writing as to why the book does not meet the standards? Ashwini, I'm going to give you again an answer which is slightly lopsided. First, I'll give you some numbers. On an average, publishing house like us gets maybe 100 odd submissions a month. Okay.
Yeah.
A house like Penguin Harper Hashim may be getting thousands and thousands of such manuscripts. Right? Now, it is practically impossible for publishing to go through all and give feedback, because the cost of doing so is very high and the returns from that is not justified. So the
Yes.
commercial viability of responding to every author is not possible. So if your proposal is interesting enough and catchy enough for the publisher to grasp their attention, they will read through and then respond back. So when it's getting read, it gets responded to. In our case, we are small and our submission list is smaller, and hence we are more or less able to give an answer to almost everybody who submits an answer to us. But going forward, if the volumes increase, even we may not be able to answer to everybody. That's a practical problem that we are facing. Not just us, everybody will face. That has nothing to do with the intent being right or wrong. I hope I've answered that question.
Mhm. Thanks.
Anupama, how are you doing? Great to watch you here. I loved Braybucks Goes to Sniffer Academy. What is your future plan in children's fiction space? Future plan is futuristic, very futuristic. We're doing a very interesting book with Archana Sarath, which will be released this month, at the most maybe June, around history of mathematics, which is essentially a
Oh, wow.
collection of interesting stories from the history of how the subject was created. Watch out for that one. Followed by a very interesting book by a very famous children's author, Ramendra Kumar, and through him, we are going to launch a children's detective novel series, followed by a few other titles. So, yes, we do have a lineup of children's fiction coming up.
This.
As well. Oh, okay. Anupama has a question. Great. Anupama, second question from you. Good. By the way, I like your DP. It looks like you've gone traveling somewhere and plucking tea leaves from a garden. You might prefer physical books to ebooks. Has come out. Oh, extremely good. See, now, why did we come out with ebooks? The logic behind that is a lot of content not either enough or not probably marketable enough for a physical book. So we go for a low investment method, which is the ebook method. And that's how the concept of Readomania shorts came. Whether the content is enough, whether the marketability is in this. That's the reason ebooks are there. And I think that look at your own ebook. It's done so well.
Okay. This is Nice question.
Sudham, how are you doing, Sudham? So Sudham is himself a very, very good author and has written and which is done very well in the market. You can actually see in his DP, the book is also visible. When do we see Dipankar? The platform Readomania.com. There's very little available on that. And I do intend to keep it that way. I would only keep my content online. I'll not take it to print. Being, I would rather more authors than being an author myself. Lady with the wonderful smile is again hung. So I'll go back to the Facebook page and then read the next question. I saw something by Ashisha, but I can't refresh it now. Okay, I have Nirmalya's question popping up on screen. Hi Nirmalya, how are you doing? Congratulations on being published in your first anthology, Twilight's Children, which is a special book and has stories and content about children who have disabilities which are different in nature. So they are differently able people, and everybody must pick up the book to understand how wonderful that world is. Coming to the question for Nirmalya, most of us are writing in our spare time after our day job is over. So writing as well as reading on a regular basis becomes a real challenge. So quite few of us manage to read and write sporadically, especially often during weekends. So what would your advice be to aspiring lot who aren't able to practice consistently? Okay. We all have very stressful lives. I completely agree with you. We don't have time. But if we want to make a difference and if we want to do something, we have to dedicate it. We have to be specific about things. More than writing, I would say writing can still, if you can make writing a regular affair, nothing like it. But at least on a regular basis, weekend writing is a good way of starting your writing, but dedicate time. Make 1 hour available every Saturday and Sunday for you to sit at one place and write. Otherwise, the discipline will not come in. But for reading, I would strongly recommend that you spend at least 10 minutes or 5 minutes or even 2 minutes flipping at least one page of a book every night before you sleep. And I will tell you one more interesting thing. We all are very hung up with our screens, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a desktop, whether it's a tab, or whether it's a phone. Science
Yeah.
says that all those screens create disturbances in our sleep. So if you are
Yeah.
looking at a screen for a long time before you sleep, you will have disturbed sleep, and that over a long period of time creates stress. Instead, if you switch off all screens before you sleep, at least half an hour before you sleep, and look at something which is like reading or completely blankly staring at your wall in front, that makes your sleep much better sleep. So do that.
Okay.
I think I've answered this question already when you were
Oh,
hung
okay.
up.
All right. Okay. Oh, we
I was
have,
answering Ashisha's question. It disappeared. So if you would get me Ashisha talking about this question, I'll answer that.
yeah, here, this one.
Yeah, that's one.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, Ashisha. You graduated, I think, today. She's become an MBA today, and that's the graduation ceremony photograph. And she's got a job with Airtel. So congratulations and all the best for your future. She's a wonderful short story writer herself. There was a time when mythological thrillers had become a rage, and another was the age of romances. What do you think is the popular genre these days? Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's like predicting the future. I would stay away from, I would rather abstain from making any comment on that. I would definitely say this. uh, People are open to new kind of content, different kind of content, and people are experimenting more. Having said that, both these genres, mythology, thrillers, and romances, still exist and still are selling very well.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have answered all the questions. Uh,
Wow,
okay.
yay! It's a home run.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dipankar, for joining us tonight. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. This is our last. Oh my God, please tell me I'm not frozen and you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was supposed to give a nice emotional speech, but my screen is frozen now. So thank you so much everyone for participating in the writing festival, for asking all your questions, for all the love that you have showered us. Thank you, Dipankar, for joining us,
Oh, hang on, I have a closer speech. I wrote
and
something.
all your. Okay, I have frozen again, I think.
So, first of all, on
Yeah.
behalf of all the authors, on behalf of everybody who was invited, and all the readers and participants, I'd like to thank Blogchatter, Suchita, and Richa, and the whole team, which we can't see, to organize something so interesting and so cool. You know, we've never heard of an online festival, and this is really kick-ass. So, good job, guys. Keep it up. Keep doing this more often, and we'll rock the show. Keep on. Thank you, all the viewers and all the people who got interested, asked questions, got their questions clarified. If you want to get in touch with me, I am on Facebook, on Twitter. Drop in a message, and I'll take it up as best as I can. And thank you very much, and have a great day and a great night. And write well, read better. And yes, do read our books from Readomania. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. See you next year now.
Bye bye.